Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Monday, August 10th. Thank you for joining us today. Annette, thank you for joining me. This is our month of the courage to know yourself. And let's maybe personalize that today and say the courage to know myself. This isn't something that we're distant from. It's like, oh yeah, those other people, they're having the courage to know themselves. That has nothing to do with me. Let's personalize it for all of us. It's the courage to know myself. Last Friday, we introduced a few unconscious coping strategies. Do we get busy? Do we try to be helpful? Are we the funny ones? And they've given me a lot of thought all weekend. Have you been thinking about them, Annette?
I have. I want to make sure that everyone understands that these coping strategies typically are blind spots. Like we don't know that we do this. So you've heard us talk about blind spots. You've heard us talk about coping strategies. They're pretty much synonymous. Like we don't understand. This is what we're doing. We're going to introduce a few more today. The first one, I'm the responsible one. As you said last Friday, we don't just have a conversation with ourselves and say, oh, I have to do this. I'm the responsible one. It's more that compulsion to take charge, to take over, or to insert ourselves so that we can be there for folks who are suffering, who may really need support. But we put ourselves in there and say, well, I can help you with this, or I can do this. That's all well and good. That's fine to be helpful. It's fine to be supportive. But if it's coming from that compulsion inside, and we don't even realize that this is a blind spot, this is what we always do. Someone says they got a problem, we step on in. When we bring that self-awareness to it, we can check in, is this something I should be doing? Is this really the other person's responsibility to take care of their emotional health? Do I even have the time or the energy to do this? Being the responsible one, think about if you take charge, step in, and I'm not saying that you just are bulldoze yourself in there. Many times this happens. Well, oh no, I could do this for you. It's quite innocent seeming, but it also, you can lose your life doing this. I mean, not literally, but you can lose your peace of mind. You can lose your own day doing something that could be the other person's responsibility.
That right there is the check-in for this unconscious coping strategy. How often are we responsible for other people's responsibilities? How often do we take that responsibility upon ourselves when it's, maybe this sounds a little blunt, but it's someone else's problem? And that doesn't mean you don't care and don't help out when you can, but it's the go-to coping strategy.
Yes, and I'm not saying that it's not kind and wonderful to step in and help folks. But this is more of the compulsion. This is more of the blind spot. When you don't even think about it, you're there. You want to check in. Do I even have the emotional capacity for this? Is this something that I even should be doing? Am I stepping into something and then I'm denying somebody else the opportunity to grow, to learn, to take responsibility for themselves? The next one is quite interesting, and that's being invisible.
How is that interesting to you?
Well, because you don't think of that as a coping strategy, or at least I don't. I don't really.
Oh, I think it is one.
And I definitely don't think of it as a blind spot, but I guess it is.
Oh, it is. Let me just assure you right here, right now, it is an unconscious coping strategy. It is a blind spot because when we're making ourselves invisible, we're making ourselves small. We're pulling away. We're going and distancing ourselves from the situation. So if someone's doing something we don't like, rather than saying, hey, I don't like that, that doesn't help me meet my needs, or that doesn't serve our relationship, we just get small and quiet, and then we hope we don't become a target for their antics. But the behavior from the other person won't stop. If we just make ourselves small and invisible, it's not going to make them think, wow, Annette's sure not showing up. She hasn't talking that much. Maybe my behavior isn't what it should be. People will just keep on going. They'll keep on doing. And then what also happens when we make ourselves invisible, we get very resentful. When we've made ourselves small, then what can happen is we can say, well, I wouldn't have had to be small if this other person didn't act this way.
We were having a conversation with someone recently, and I don't know if they would consider that they have become invisible, although those are the words that I would probably put on there. It seems to me with being invisible as a coping strategy and blind spot, it happens slowly, or it can happen slowly. Like you're in a relationship and you don't feel seen, heard, known. It may not feel like a safe relationship. You make yourself small, and you make yourself small in that relationship, but then I think it's very easy for it to trickle into other areas. Also, if you have anxiety, for example, you may pull back and your anxiety may become a bit less, but then you pull way back. Then you become invisible. Now, the reason this is a little bit of a struggle for me is I always think that this is maybe a decision, but you're saying no.
All of these coping strategies come about pretty slowly, I think. It's not the first time that we find ourselves so busy we don't think about our problems, and we say, well, let's keep on this train. I'll just keep on being busy. It wasn't the first time I cracked a joke that then I became the funny one. It was funny felt better than whatever I felt. And then it's like, oh, the laugh was fun. I felt better. Okay, that's kind of nice. Then you do it again. Oh, well, that's pretty nice. And then it's pretty nice. And it's pretty nice. And then that's just who you think you are. Same with being helpful. When we've been helpful and we take charge, and I think maybe helpful and responsible can go hand in hand. You were talking like that a little bit too, where we can take responsibility for other people's responsibilities. And it's not the first time that happens or the 10th. It's this slow pace that we go to where we just start it. It only has to work one time. And then our nervous system says, that worked. It's automatic. It's unconscious, but that worked. Maybe next time I'll try that out. I'll feel into that. I'll do that more. And then we find ourselves in this pickle where now the coping strategy has gone way off track. It's no longer serving us, and it has become its own problem. And I think I relate so much to the invisible one because in addition to being the funny one, funny also did make me invisible.
What do you mean by that? How could funny make you invisible? You're the one cracking the joke.
Did you think I had a problem in my life?
No.
Did you think I was struggling with anything?
No.
There you go. I was invisible.
Like what was really going on in your life was invisible.
Yeah, the struggles I was having, you didn't know. Mm-hmm. You had no clue because, well, what could be wrong with Ada? She's laughing, she's cracking jokes. So then we could also use some of those strategies like being funny or being helpful to also become invisible. It can be pulling away. It can be saying less and speaking up less. That's one form that this coping strategy can take. It also can just be having a positive attitude, having optimism, because we can say, oh yeah, it'll all work itself out. It'll all work itself out. But then people can say, oh yeah, Annette, she always says it'll work out, so I don't even need to worry about her. Ada's funny. I don't even need to think that maybe she's got something else going on. It turns us invisible.
Okay, we have a few more for tomorrow.
Okay, I can't wait. So for today, our intention is to continue our curiosity challenge, our curiosity practice with our next 2 unconscious coping strategies, which we share today: being responsible and being invisible. Check in for whether these 2 resonate with you. Do you know anybody where you might see it in them? Because it's so much easier to see it in someone else than it is in ourselves. Then we could start checking in. Whoa, okay, I see it over there. That's how it shows up. Maybe that's alive in me. Maybe that's going on inside of me. So checking in with being the responsible one. It's okay to be responsible, but we're talking about the unconscious coping strategy of being responsible and being invisible. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.